Is off.
Hello, and welcome to Neurodivergent Motherhood Unplugged, a live talk show and podcast where discussion flows freely around topics that impact our journeys as mothers to neurodivergent individuals. We share candidly, kindly, and inclusively about our experiences, hopes, and dreams. Join us in a place where you can feel seen, heard, and not alone.
Hello, and
Hello.
welcome to another episode of Neurodivergent Motherhood Unplugged. I have my Kim Marler with me. Unfortunately, Claire Garley couldn't be here with us tonight, but we are missing her, and she is here with us in spirit. And we have a guest tonight, Chisato. So let me just introduce her. Welcome.
So
Thank you
excited
for
to have
having me.
you.
So excited to be here. Yay. Hi.
Hi, thank you. And do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself so we can start off?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Chisato. I have a doctorate in social work. I have a license in marriage and family therapy, and I have a license in professional clinical counseling. All that means that I'm super passionate about mental health. That's kind of been my jam for a long time, and I've worked with kids with special needs, usually mental health needs, for a really long time. I'm also a mom to twin boys who on the autism spectrum. They're 7 years old, and so I share a little bit about our journey and try to blend my professional experience as well as my personal experience, and really try to shed a light on autism as well as mental health because they're two things that have a lot of stigma around them. In my professional life, I am an adjunct professor to several different universities, and then I also am a senior program supervisor at a mental health nonprofit in Orange County, where I'm part of an amazing team where we do a lot of trainings as well as supporting staff as needed. So I do a little bit of everything, but I'm super grateful to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you.
Yes, and where in Orange County are you located?
Irvine,
Oh my God, we have to have lunch, girl. What are we doing?
are we close?
I'm in Menifee.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
Tomorrow.
Like, we should be at the Spectrum having lunch right now. We could be live together.
So how close are y'all?
Like an hour?
Wow. How
Yeah.
small
we actually
world.
Yeah, we need to. We'll set something up. I would like that.
I would love that too. That's so awesome. So how has it for me? So my background has always been in like criminal justice and like equality, civil rights, public policy. And when I got thrown into like the autism world, I was like, that's not fair, that's discrimination, that's not how this should, like, that's not the way I learned it in the books. So
Yeah.
for you as being in the field and then having your kids, what has that been like? Because for me it was like such an eye-opening experience, and I've learned the title education advocate. I have become that, but I didn't even know that existed when I was getting my undergraduate degree.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, I feel like it's very interesting, right? Like when I became a mom, one of the big things that I was like really worried about was because I've seen so much. I've seen parents who, maybe didn't know how to be the best parents they can be. I've seen kids get abused. I've worked in the foster care system for a while. I've kind of worked in a lot of situations where I've seen a lot of struggles and a lot of trauma. One of my populations I worked with was commercially sexually exploited children who were kids who were being sex trafficked, right? So like seeing all that, I think when I got pregnant, I was really fearful of what kind of parent I was going to be. And my husband would always be like, "You're gonna be fine." And I was like, but I think most parents don't wake up thinking, how can I torture my kid? Like that's not usually what happens. So like what if that happens? So I think I had a lot of fear. And then, as a service provider, I did a lot of community-based mental health. So that means I would go to people's homes and provide therapy. I was also a therapeutic behavioral services coach with kids who had severe behavioral health needs where their placements were being threatened. So I had a lot of experience working with parents struggling with being a parent. And so, you know, being a special needs parent, I think it gave me a lot of empathy towards those parents. I think as a service provider, we sometimes forget, right? Like for example, I would drive for like 2 hours to see my client, and there were moments where I see you. I see you through the window, and they won't answer the door. Like they're staring at me, and they're just like pretending like they're not there. And like now as a parent, like I would still not encourage that. I would still probably open the door and be like, "Hey, forgot to tell you today's not a good day." But I can see how maybe having so many services, although it's a good thing, can be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And balancing that, I'm sure, was very difficult for a lot of the parents. And I think as a service provider, although I felt like I understood that, there was a deeper understanding that came along with being a special needs parent. That I think actually becoming parents to twins who are both on the spectrum really kind of opened my eyes to. I did a lot of my own case management. A lot of the skills I used as a professional, I used for my kids, right? What services can I connect them to? Who do I need to call?
Same here. I'm always like, that regional center person. Oh yeah, I consult with them. We consult. We're like, you tell me what you got, I'll tell you what I got, and let's together we do it, because I'm out there fighting the same battle for the resources that I know are available for our kids.
Absolutely. And it's so hard, right? Because a lot of parents don't know. So they feel lost. And so to be able to say, actually there are these resources, and let me see what we can do to connect you. I think as a professional, I did that. But for my kids, I felt like, although it's a lot because I do work full time and I work several part-time jobs, it was a lot and it is a lot. But I think part of what I learned in that journey is the importance of like handing it off to people. Like knowing that it's not all on me. It was really hard for me. It's a hard thing for me still, I think, to be able to say it doesn't have to be on you, Chisato. Like you can actually ask for help. You can actually say, hey teacher, this is not, I can't do this. Can you? It's so hard for me, but I think being a mom and being their mom really taught me that the importance of letting go.
That is a very valuable lesson. Like such a valuable lesson. And I think it's so hard. And I think Kim will agree, because I know Kim, and Kim is very type A, where everything is organized, everything has its spot. And it's so hard for us to let go and give someone else that responsibility, because we want them to do it right and we want them to do it perfectly. And you just nailed it.
Yeah, being able to say like, I have a team and I built this team. Like I need to acknowledge that I need to trust these people, right? Because if I don't, then like I'm gonna burn out. We're gonna talk about caregiver burnout. I'm gonna burn out, and then I'm not gonna be the best mom that I can be. And that's what I want to be. I don't want to be their teacher. I'm not their teacher. Trust me, I used to teach. I'm not a teacher for them. I'm their mom, right? And so what I can teach them as a mom is going to be different than what I can teach them as a teacher. And if we have a teacher, why not trust her expertise and make sure we're communicating?
That is so important. And I caught myself in that today. We just switched to a new pediatrician for Lucas, and we're still getting to know each other, and she needed to send out some referrals, and it's a larger clinic, and I already did all the referrals myself. Like I called and checked on them. I already got all the appointments set up, and they called me today and they're like, "Hi, Miss Marler, we need to get all these appointments set up." And I was like, "Don't worry, done all that. Like we're done."
We're good.
And then I caught myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I should have just let them do it. But then my thing is it ever going to get done? So like Kirby said, like I want it done. So I'm just going to do it myself. Yeah. But you can burn out, and it's exhausting staying on the phone with doctors and therapists and pharmacists, like it's exhausting.
And and right now we're in a huge med shortage. So the amount of phone calls that you have to make are just extra, from having to call a doctor being like, hey, I had to forfeit 60 days of meds because they only had 30 days and I got to do what I got to do, and then have to do it all again in like 20 days. It's really adding an extra layer of phone calls. And I feel like the insurance, it constantly changes what they cover, what they don't cover. Now we're like coming out of the COVID. Like everything was like grandfathered in because of COVID. And now we're moving to where COVID isn't a determining factor anymore. So it's a new procedure. So it's like my brain is ready to explode.
Yeah, it's a lot. I feel like as caregivers, right? Like I always try to kind of balance, like, am I being a caregiver right now, as in kind of being a case manager and trying to kind of manage like who I need to pull in, or am I being a mom right now? Because sometimes I feel like those roles are similar but different. And so yeah, like definitely kind of acknowledging like I have people that could do this. They might not do it as quickly as I would like. Let's just kind of be honest
Right,
here.
or they may
Right?
not do it in the way like the folder may not be organized the way
Yep.
you would do it,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that it won't get done.
Exactly. It's still done. And if it's not done, that's when that's when I will step in and be like, wait, we talked about this 3 weeks ago. What happened? Like, right? Like we can have those discussions, but I need to kind of trust that it's going to be done. And I need to kind of trust that it's going to be done in a way. Whether I agree with the way it's done, we can discuss that when that comes, but I need to trust that. Or I won't be able to be the best mom that I want to be. I won't be able to be present because I'm going to be thinking about the 50 other things I need to do, and then that's not fair to the boys, right? Because they already have to share everything, like attention, everything. And it's been like that since day one for them. So, you know, definitely that's something that I think my husband and I both really had to let go of, and just put our trust into people, and communicate. Like right now we're doing so well with communicating with the school. Last year was a disaster. It was very difficult for us to communicate with the teacher and the school.
Well, I specialize in that, so if you need any assistance, you can call me. I've worked in Irvine many times. I have many clients in Irvine, so if you need any help,
fabulous.
give me a call.
Better now. Better now. It's the same teacher. We actually have the same teacher from last year. And I was just so upset when I found out it was this teacher. But honestly, this year it's so much smoother. We have a great communication log. We check in every time we can. She emails me. We'll have like, even if it's a 2-minute conversation of like how the boys did, and if they struggled, like what was helpful, so that we can implement it at home. And then we'll also share, hey, here's what we're doing at home. Maybe we can do this at school. Like it's been so much better.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to say that as a advocate that works in this field, having a mom that didn't love the assignment of the teacher but was open-minded enough to give that teacher a chance to set themselves up for success really makes a big difference, because a lot of my clients that call me, they already have their mind made up. They already are gun-ho about what's going to happen, so I think that's so big of you, especially during these times right now where teachers' educations are continuing. There are staff shortages. They are in training right now. They are expanding their roles, and we have to acknowledge that. And we have to, yes, maybe they weren't perfect last year, but it never hurts to give someone a second chance. And if it doesn't work, then we address it. But I want to say to you that you would be one of my ideal clients, because it is so, like, a lot of the times I feel like I'm like the one that brings the parent the bad news, because I'm like, hey, reality check. School isn't going to fire their whole team, because they don't have replacements, and it's not that easy to. So I always feel like I am like the bearer of bad news, but I want to like put forth like angry advocating and having like a already preconceived notion, it doesn't help. It
Yeah,
doesn't help.
yeah,
And everybody can have a better tomorrow than they had yesterday. And like we like put that on our kids, like they can do better tomorrow. So can the teachers. So
yep,
can everybody
absolutely.
is entitled to a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would always say to my clinicians, and I've been in multiple IEPs even before I had kids because of my therapist role, right? So that's kind of what I've done for years. So I kind of knew what to expect. And so every time I go into IEP, I tell myself this, and I also say this to my team, like, our end goal is the same. We want the boys to enjoy school, right? We all agree we don't want them to hate school. We
Of
want
course.
them to learn to the best of their ability, whatever that looks like. That's really our end goal. We want them to be able to be the best adults that they can be. Whatever that's going to look like for them, that is what we want. Okay, with that in mind, I might think path A is the best. You might think path B is the best, and you might think path C is the best. I don't really care what path we take because at the end of the day, we're going to the same place. It might just be longer or windier or more a roundabout, but if we're trying to get to the right place, then we can work together and maybe we can all collaborate so that, yeah, we can try all these paths because I'm not here to say my path is the best. It might not be, right? It's just the path I know. Same with you, same with you. So let's see what we can do to work together instead of doing it together. That's the point of a team. So I really kind of go in with that perspective. And so with this teacher, last year it was a struggle. And when we talked about it, because I'm very honest, I'm very honest with my team. And I
I
told
think you
them,
have to be. I think that's a sign of respect, and I think you have to be.
absolutely,
Especially if
absolutely.
you want a good working relationship.
Exactly. I can't be like, everything's great, and then be like, no, it's not. Like, I'm not doing that to her or to anybody. So before the boys started this school year, we spoke on the phone, and I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm very worried. I know that you care about the boys, but I'm very worried because she had shared, right, that it was the first time she had twins in her class. And so she was really struggling with that, which, okay, I get you. I understand. Like, it's hard because there's this, like, they love each other, but they also have this sometimes. And, they
Yes. Yes,
each
it's
other,
a
right?
sibling. You're dealing with a sibling dynamic in a
Yes.
classroom,
Yes.
but it's like a sibling dynamic times 1,000 because they're
Yes.
so much closer. So
Absolutely.
I have
Exactly.
a lot of cases with twins.
Yeah. So being able to just explain to her, like, you know, let's wipe the slate clean and see what we're gonna do. And I want to explain to you, like, this is what works with Aki, this is what works with Yuri, and like, definitely try what you can try. Like, I'm not saying do it my way, but I'm just letting you know this is what works for us. It might not work at school, but let's try this. And I really, I want to be open to rebuilding our ship because it wasn't too fabulous last year. We can all acknowledge. And she had shared about some personal things that was happening in her life that I think was impacting her ability to be super present in the classroom. So we were able to rebuild and just kind of acknowledge that, we do want the same thing. We do want to work together. And really this year, I really feel like we are such a better team this year. The boys are thriving. The boys really like her, which is nice to see. One Yuri will kind of be like, I don't want to go to school, but then he goes to school and he like does great and he like has friends. They both have friends. They're both thriving. It was funny. We had a parent teacher conference the other day, and the teacher was like, "So Aki is very advanced."
I was wondering, like, tell me about your boys. Are they similar, different?
Yeah, so they're opposites. They're complete opposites. Yuri loves art. He is very, very musical. He's very like any art. So he loves listening to music. He doesn't really like playing. Aki's more the player. But he draws, he paints, he loves Legos, he loves anything artistic. He also loves following directions. So if you give him something step by step like Legos, loves it. Loves
That's
it.
so
Aki,
funny. That's so funny. I interviewed Temple Grandin on my other podcast, and that's like a pattern thinker, as a essential pattern thinker, and she's going to be on our show. So yes, it's exciting, right? But yes, that's like a total pattern thinker. Where me, I cannot do Legos. I get those directions, and I'm like, they like
Explain.
We're gonna be here for a long time, and my kid's gonna cry because I cannot. Like, I do not get past step 2.
Same. I'm really bad at it too. I'm very grateful my husband likes Legos, so he can kind of do that with them. And honestly, like Yuri doesn't want help. He wants to do it by himself. That's him. Aki, he is mathematically inclined. He was able to do multiplication, I think, when he was like 4 or 5.
That is my son.
I know somebody
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
His name is Lucas, and he did 9 times 9 times 9 times, and I was like, I don't even know. Like, I need to get my calculator. And he said,
Hold on. They could be buddies.
Yes. Lucas, like he walks in a room and he's just counting, like he's just spitting out numbers.
Yeah.
Jaden is the same way. Yeah. Like, he notices things. Like, there would be letters in places. Like, okay, the school when Jaden was in kindergarten tried to tell me he was intentionally trying to pull the fire alarm, and I was like, well, why would he intentionally try to do that? Like, he doesn't even know what that would do. Number one. Number two, that's a really loud noise. So if he, like, that would, number one, startle him completely and scare him.
Yeah.
But what they didn't see was that it was white, and then it had red letters, emergency, pull here. So and it was like kind of like they were like imprinted, so he could feel the letters. And it was like, no, he's not trying to pull your fire alarm. He just sees letters everywhere. And he's like 3 years old, spelling with letters, like the magnets, emergency, exit, things that he could see all the time. And it was like, holy crap. But just the way their brains work it's just so different.
That's Aki right there. Like, he loves he's been able to read and do math since he was like real tiny. He still loves that. So we had a parent teacher conference where the teacher was like, yeah, nationwide testing, all that stuff. And Aki, they're in 2nd grade and he's testing pretty high. I think like middle of 3rd grade or something like that for his math, which we kind of knew was going to happen. And the teacher was like, I wish I could say I taught him, but I haven't. She's like, I wish I could say that was me, but it's not. And I was like, I believe you. And she was like, yeah, she was like, I feel like I did teach them like addition where
no, Chisato, you take all the credit. You take all the credit. You say things. No, I thought and you took all the credit too. Like, what do you mean? I've been teaching them. Though. When we're stuck up late at night, I be teaching them.
That's what we do. Yeah.
I mean,
next time I'm
that award goes to me. Thank you.
All me. So yeah, I mean they're super different, which is so fun to watch. But they're both super sweet. They're very empathic. They're very friendly. Today at Starbucks, Aki was just saying hi to like a random stranger, being like, "What's your name, by the way?" I was just like, Aki. Like she was redirecting him because he was sitting in a way that was a little dangerous, and he was like, "Okay," and he listens and he goes, "What's your name, by the way?"
Oh God.
I'm just like, Aki. And then so she says her name and she was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And he was like, "I'm Aki." And then he looks at me and goes, "She's not a stranger anymore, mommy."
Oh my goodness.
It's because we tell them strangers means you don't know their name and you don't know who they are, which is what a stranger is. So he's like, I know her name, not a stranger.
Not a stranger.
Technically not a stranger, okay?
Problem solved.
By the rules.
Good job. Like, I'm so proud of you right now, but I don't know what to do with you. Super fun.
Do you, in your professional point of view, do you help children with autism, or is it not really in that field?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've had clients on the spectrum, but really we would work with like the depression or anything else. And then we would work closely with any other provider that was there specifically for the autism. So it really just kind of depended, I think, on the client. So I did have a client who was on the spectrum and he was there for his anxiety. Super anxiety. Really cool kid, actually. Really cool kid. I've never met a kid that knew so many dinosaurs in my life. And every time we would meet, like he would talk to me about dinosaurs, which was fine. That's how we built rapport, and it was super fun to meet with him. And really, part of his anxiety was him not feeling understood by his family, as well as friends. And so we would really kind of talk about, let's talk about not feeling understood. Let's talk about not feeling accepted. So we wouldn't really focus on the autism per se. We would more focus on the feelings that were coming along. I feel like with the lack of acceptance,
Right.
really working on the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't. I would never be like, "Oh, you're on the spectrum, bye." Like that. We wouldn't do that. But it was really like, what are you coming in for, and what mental health condition can we really help you with?
We ran into that problem here in our state. Is Lucas has a lot of behaviors, and we can't figure out the trigger points to them, and so everyone keeps suggesting go see a therapist, and everyone that we call, they're like, "Oh, he's on the spectrum. We can't help you because he is verbal, but he can't hold a conversation with you. So he can just tell us his wants and needs. So he can't express why he's acting out, and so it's instantly a closed door right there. So that's why I was just kind of curious about.
I wonder if, like, I'm sure they exist.
I'm sure they're out there.
Like maybe focus more on like play therapy. Because play therapy, you don't really need to talk. Like it's play. That's the point. I know when I had clients that were like 5, where they can have a conversation, but it's a little bit more difficult to have a conversation. I did a lot of like drawing and playing with them. Even if it's like, let's play with dolls, right? And the kid's like, with dolls, like I might be like, ow, right? Like that hurts her, that hurts him. Let's talk about that. And even just kind of like having another doll saying like, owie, that's owie, right? And just kind of having that conversation. We're not having a straight up conversation, but that was like, oh, okay. And I might be like, oh, he's hurt, like we might do this, right? Just even modeling that. I think individuals, therapists that work with like younger kids, but also kids that might not be able to communicate verbally as well, play therapy can be really beneficial. So I wonder if that's available around you. Because I think it's hard, right? Like everybody has their specialization, and
yeah, I feel you, because like even my son Jackson, who is verbal. So my son Jackson, who is verbal, we're going down that official ADHD diagnosis. We've known it for a long time. I have ADHD. We just got the questionnaire. I'm sure you know the questionnaire, but like we didn't even have to fill out the questionnaire from Jaden. Like at 3 years old, he got like they were like, yeah. And Jackson, through the years, I would go to Jaden's providers and they would say, hey, just so you know, he has ADHD too. Just so you, and I knew, but it wasn't truly affecting his life. So here's an example that what you just said made me think of is where he will say to you, I'm so mad because of my anger issues, but he can't describe why he's angry. He can't describe what anger issues are. Like it's like he knows he's angry, he knows that's the emotion, but he can't process it and like describe it. So even with a verbal ability, like those other types of therapy modalities are so important, because he's fully verbal and he can tell you he's angry and he feels like his anger is like getting the best of the moment, but at the same time, at that moment, those words don't really matter.
Yeah. So I think in a situation like that, Aki can kind of sometimes be like that when he's angry or frustrated, like his words kind of fly away, which is fine. We know that. It's been like that for a while. So I'll do something like let's do jumping jacks, right? And get that like energy out first, right? Like, and I'll use a lot of silly words. I sing to them when they don't want to listen, like Aki, Aki, come here, please, and he'll be like, "What?" Like, speaking to him normally doesn't work, but like singing apparently works. So it's you heard me, huh?
He's like, "Oh, that's my."
You call me? Hey, baby, can you come here?
If you say sorry, I will let you go.
I see. What are we scripting? Can we say hi?
Hi.
There you go. All right, baby, Mama's in a meeting right now. Can I come see you in a little bit, please? Please, and thank you. Thank you. I know you see yourself. Yes. Yes, you're very cute.
You are so cute.
Akira. I know. You just want to say hi. I know. He's like, oh, I see myself. Yes, I see that. I love you. I love you. Can you please go downstairs? And two. And one. Thank you, baby. Love you. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. I promise I'll be in there in a second, okay? Thank you. Love you. Bye. What am I saying sorry for? Oh, okay. We'll talk about that in 10 minutes, okay? Thank you. Love you. Bye. And there he goes. He's like, you're talking about me? So yeah, we do a lot of like physical stuff, and then we will talk about it, like just now. He's upset because I took his iPad earlier because he was using some unkind language. And he's upset that I took his iPad. I know he's not. That's okay. It's okay. We made a choice. So we'll talk about choices and consequences later. That's a later problem. I will also try to personify his anger. So that's why I made the red choice monster and the green choice monster book, because it's easier to talk about other people sometimes than talking about our own feelings. Right? So I might say, like, what's the red choice monster saying to you right now? Oh, it's saying to like hit something, it's saying to yell. Okay, are we gonna listen to the red choice monster or can we listen to the green choice monster? So we'll kind of do that. And then I do a lot of like physical things, like let's kind of, you know, this is progressive muscle relaxation. Let's take some deep breaths and put our hands on our chest and our tummy. So I do a lot of things like that.
Yeah, I see a ton of benefits to sensory integration into
Yeah. Yeah.
We do a
I
lot
think
of
as well with that. Yuri, not so much. Yuri just needs space, so I'll give him the choice for space, and I'll give him the space. And once he's done, I'll be like, "Do you want me to stay with you, or do you want continued space?" Like either is fine. And then once he's calm enough, we can talk about it. So, it kind of definitely depends on the child for sure. But I think because I've worked with kids for so long, I kind of just do what I've done with a lot of clients with the boys to figure out what works.
Whatever works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you as a mama? What do you do? Because it cannot be easy to have two boys at the same age going through, similar but different. So what do you do when you become overwhelmed? How do you deal with your caregiver burnout?
For
so
sure.
that you can still be the caregiver you are.
So my big thing is I walk. I go, if possible, daily. Right now it's raining, so I'm probably not going to go for a walk right now. But I do walk quite often. I go on daily date nights with the boys. So on Monday I go with Yuri, and then on Tuesdays I go with Aki. So today is Aki's day. We'll be going after this. It's usually to Target, but wherever they want to go, we'll stroll around, we'll talk. And that's really nice because I can connect with them one-on-one, which is very different from when they're together. I've been with my husband for 17 years, and we've been married for almost 12, and he is one of my best friends. And so after the boys go to bed, we have dinner together and we check in with each other. What is the highlight and low light of your life today? We do that a lot. And
I love that because it's so important because the divorce rate between special needs parents are so high.
Yes,
and I think it's so important that we have to prioritize our marriages.
Yeah, I mean, I keep reminding myself, and we both talk about it often, of like, we're a team. Yeah. Right. The two of us are a team. And, yes, we are parents and we are special needs parents, but we're also partners. He is the person and I'm the person that he chose. Like we chose each other to do this life with, right? So we always are like, we're not enemies. Like we're on the same team, okay? We're on the same team. So let's see what we can do. And then we do bi-weekly, if not monthly, if not bi-weekly date nights. So we have two amazing babysitters that we ask to come in, whoever is available that week, and we'll go out for a couple of hours, even if it's close by. We'll have dinner together and spend time together. And when we spend time together, whether it's after the boys go to bed or when we actually go out, when we spend time together indoor, I call it indoor date night. That date night, and then even if it's outside, we'll be mindful too. Yes, of course, we talk about the boys because they are such an integral part of our life, but we also talk about everything else that's going on in our lives. We both work at least full time. He works full time. I work full time, and then several part time jobs, and I volunteer. But and then we also kind of check in with each other about as people. Right? Is there a way that I can support you today? What brought you joy today? Was there anything that made you sad? Is there anything that frustrated you? What can I do? Right? What can we do to just make sure that we are okay as individuals? And how can I support you in doing
Love
that?
that so much.
Yeah, it's hard. It can be hard, but I
It
think
is hard because I feel like we feel like when we're in like fix it mode or crisis mode or that meltdown just happened and
yeah,
we're just in going through the motions and getting to bedtime and making sure everyone like got what they needed.
yeah,
It's very easy to forget to check in
yeah.
like person to person. Like, are you okay? Is there
Yep.
something that you need?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, we've been together for forever and a half, but we were also friends before we got together. So we really have that base, and we try to continuously go back to that base that, like, we've been in each other's lives for a long time, even before the boys, obviously. And so, we really try to be mindful of, like, I don't care how busy we are. I don't want you to just get like the burnt out me, like I want you to get the best me that you can, and I want to get the best you that you can. And if us supporting each other is going to get us there, let's try that. So my husband goes to the gym and goes to exercise quite often, about 5 to 6 times a week.
Mind you, he does his CrossFit thing in the morning so early. Like, go ahead, go you, but please don't wake me up. Please do not wake me up.
Yes. So he'll do that, and then he'll get me a Starbucks or he'll get me a little thing. And then, he'll stay home with the boys when I need to walk. So I'll usually walk in the evening, and get like an hour and a half in, just walking around the neighborhood and just chatting with somebody or listening to a podcast or whatever the heck I want to do at that moment. And just, I think, making sure that we are supporting each other in that way, I think is really helpful. Also, humor. We laugh a lot. I laugh at myself all the time. That's okay. I'm kind of a klutz. That's fine. It's been like that for years. And so, we can kind of laugh about a lot of things. We try to see the positive even in the negative, which I think can be really
so
hard
funny,
sometimes,
yeah.
but we definitely try. Even when like the boys will struggle, like there's moments probably like, that was funny. I can't laugh at
Yeah,
you.
I think like one of my first blog posts on my website, it was like, you need to get a sense of humor like stat. Like, you're gonna need a sense of humor, otherwise you're like, this is gonna be really hard for you. If you're not gonna be able to laugh through some of these really, really hard moments, because they're gonna be moments that you want, like and I mean, I have laughed till I've cried at some things that I never thought I would laugh at.
Yeah.
So I think that's
So
such
funny.
important advice. Like, you need to have a sense of humor and not take everything. Like, yes, this is serious, and there are things that are very, very heavy. But at the same time, I think you have to see the lightness in it, and you have to be able to laugh. Otherwise, all you're gonna do is cry. Like, there's no other option until you're gonna like laugh or cry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, practicing gratitude has been super helpful for me. Just being grateful for the fact that I have kids. We didn't know if we were gonna have kids, so the fact that we have them is like huge. The fact that, yes, twins are hard, but the fact that they have each other is wonderful. My mom is very nearby. That is a new development in our life, and the fact that we're here 3 times a week, bothering my mom. But I'm super grateful that I have that. I think just kind of being grateful for the fact that we're alive and we can do certain things, I think is super important. And I know I used to forget that a lot. I would just be in the go, 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 go mood. And being able to slow down and be like, okay, what am I grateful for right now? What can I be grateful for? Even in this very difficult moment where, maybe somebody's having a meltdown or somebody's throwing things and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, like, well, what can I be grateful for? Well, I can be grateful for that he feels safe enough to do that with me. Right? Aki's mad at me right now because I took his iPad. Okay. I'm grateful that he can tell me that. And I am grateful that he knows he can come talk to me, and I'm not going to yell at him. We don't yell, we don't spank, we don't hit, we don't do any of that. And the fact that they feel safe enough to do that with us, I think is really great. And I'm like so grateful that we can provide that for them. So we practice gratitude. I think that helps a lot. And then laughter helps. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Oh.
So, if you had one piece of advice to give to a caregiver that is currently struggling with burnout or in a difficult place, what would your advice be? I feel like your whole conversation has been so valuable. So, I
Yes.
want to say that there are so many moments where I was like, yes. And there's so many things that I am thankful for today that maybe yesterday I wasn't thinking about, but today is like a huge like thought on my mind. And so if there's one thing, what
Yeah.
would you
I think outside of everything I said is find connections. Not every friend is going to understand what we're going through. Of course, right? I have friends that don't have kids. I have friends that don't want kids, and that's okay. But don't let go of those connections. Like try to see what connections you can make and figure out where they fit in your life, right? So my friends that are single, for example, that don't have kids, don't want kids, they might not understand what it's like to be a special needs parent, but they do know what it feels like to be burnt out. They know how it feels to be tired. They know how it feels to feel isolated. They know those feelings. So can I reach out and be like, I had just such a bad moment, like I just need somebody to talk to? Yes, right? Like they might not completely understand on a personal level, like I've been there, but they do know how it feels to struggle. We all know that, right? So I think, it for me, being able to know where the wonderful connections I have fit in and how I can support them and how they can support me, right, was crucial. I think in being a parent, and being able to say like, oh, you might not understand what it means to be a special needs mom. You might not know what it feels like to have twins on the spectrum, right? And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not asking you to understand that. What I am asking you for is to get to know me as a person and allow me to get to know you as a person because that is a gift.
Yeah.
And what can we do to help each other through life? And if we can't, then hey, we tried. But if we can, then that's something beautiful that comes out of it. So I think that's like a big thing that I would encourage everybody to do. Find your connections. Don't do this yourself. Don't do this
Absolutely.
yourself.
It's very
I
important.
agree. And I feel like when you
Mhm.
find your connections, and like it's okay if something like doesn't work out or you tried and it just wasn't
Yeah,
what you thought it was.
yeah,
It's okay.
absolutely.
It's okay to fail, but I think the connections and the genuine people and the genuine relationships of support and camaraderie are what get us through, whether we're commiserating about our boss that was a jerk today
Absolutely,
or
yeah.
our kid that you can't even believe what they did today.
Yes, yes,
I think it's just
absolutely.
important to have your go-to people.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
We're
that's
so
big.
glad that you joined us today.
Yes, thank you so much.
And
We
where can we find your book at? Is it on Amazon?
You can find it on Amazon. That's the old one. The new one hasn't come out yet, so when it does, I'll post it on my site.
Great.
Outside
Yeah,
the
and let us
one on
know,
my
and
page.
we'll post
Yeah,
it on ours,
I
and
will.
we'll put a link here to your page so everyone can go follow you.
Yes,
And we are, we're planning some upcoming series, and we're gonna have some therapists and like, from a different perspective, not from a mom, come
yeah.
on and talk. So we'll be in contact. Thank you
Please.
so much because your interview was so valuable and everything you said, I'm like,
Yes.
yes.
I loved it. I needed this tonight. I needed
I
it.
did too. I
Yeah.
did too. I really feel better.
Oh well, that is my gratitude today. Then
We
I'm
had a
grateful
therapy
that I was
session.
able to be
I
here.
really needed. I really like. I didn't even know I needed it, but I really needed it. So thank you, Chisato.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Bye, guys.